I think student voice is really the groundwork of our education. The connections that we make is really what drives the community. And if you don't allow students to have their voices heard, it's really a one-sided conversation with the adults. But I think in our district, AUHSD, what's really important is that one of our drivers is student voice and purpose.
Student voice is important for all students across this country. Students need to have agency in making education work for them rather than the other way around. Student voice leads to purpose and passion for what they might want to do in a career and in life.
Initially, I didn't give it another thought. But when I started researching how YouTube uses artificial intelligence to recommend content to its users, I soon learned that everyday apps like Instagram, TikTok, Netflix, and Google are all part of a system that perpetuates bias via algorithms that incorporate racial profiling and stereotyping. Most people believe that data is objective, but sometimes bias creeps into algorithms in unsuspecting ways. AI algorithms are created and learn from the data it receives, but sometimes AI deviates into unethical and illegal discriminatory practices.
In our society, each one of us lives wherever we want to, without the threat of war or the fear of being displaced. This may be a reality for you, but for the countless number of refugees worldwide, that's only something they can hope for. What is a refugee? A refugee is someone who has fled their home due to some form of violence or war. Wars begin due to the insane greed our leaders have for power, and with that in mind, they have no sympathy, no humanity, and they make no exceptions in order to get what they want. This, of course, creates refugees, and the problem just keeps getting worse.
Something that's happening all across our district is the opportunity to give students to talk about something that they're passionate about. Sometimes these are called soapbox speeches. And here at South, we're doing that as well. It's called South Talks, where students have the opportunity to share about a topic that they care about deeply, and then, of course, to do something about it. In addition to that, our South Senate has the opportunity to exercise their voice as well. All across our classes, 2 students are selected and have the opportunity to then represent their classes and talk about an issue that they care about and then to do something good about it.
Every site has students who participate in soapbox speeches. We have a district-wide soapbox speech finals. At the same time, we've had students apply to the MCFA Soapbox Nation Challenge, which is a nationwide soapbox contest. And for the last 4 years, we've had at least one student be named a winner of that competition as well. Students give their soapbox in public forums like Open House, at STEAMapalooza, at the Student Civic Showcase, which typically takes place at the Richard Nixon Presidential Library.
Catella Talks, to put it simply, it's basically just a showcasing of a collection of student speeches on a topic that they're passionate about that are kind of done in like a TED Talk format. I think this is a really important civic engagement process for them because it really gives them a hands-on experience with not only picking a topic that is relevant to their community, but also now how do we go about solving that? What are potential solutions? What can I do to help? What are bigger solutions that may require other help from other adults, other programs, organizations around me? So it's a great kind of collaborative process so they can see, when you identify a problem, what is the next step and how can we critically go about tackling this problem and engaging the entire community to help solve that problem. So it's an excellent way to introduce them to civic engagement.
As part of Civic Action Week, we have our Tolerance Summit starting today. We have our 8th graders presenting in the NPR on diverse topics, celebrating diversity, ultimately leading to taking action. And then tomorrow we have 7th graders presenting activity booths where they celebrate their identities, just kind of raising awareness about our communities here and getting everyone involved.
This is super important for students. It allows them to find their voice and then use their voice. In English, it takes them outside of the classroom and it gets an authentic audience for them. and they get to see sometimes real change. Like we had a guest speaker today who's a 9th grader from Cypress High School, and she started Art for Awareness on campus as a club, and she got to come back and speak about that and share how she did that and why she did that with the staff and all the students, and that's amazing.
The things that I see come out of this is our campus is so diverse and our community is so diverse that we get perspectives from a lot of different angles, and students are there's awareness brought to things that they might not have heard about in the past. They get to represent themselves, and it kind of just brings us all together as ultimately a celebration of our diversity. And so I believe that's one of the most important parts of this.
What's really important is that we allow these students to show what they want to say, because from having conversations, me personally, with students across the district, in this position, I've gotten to see so many new opinions and so many new experiences that I personally cannot know just by myself. So it's these conversations that I'm having and raising the voice of students that maybe might have been too shy to speak up or reach out to other people. It's about elevating those voices and hearing what they have to say to make sure that our community is working to support each other and making sure that everyone's voices are heard.
Therefore, we need to challenge how AI algorithms are created. In many cases, we must overcorrect to counter the bias that is seeped into our systems. This starts with AI companies taking accountability by addressing and reducing bias. As the reach of the internet is vast and integral to business, politics, and our everyday lives, I urge you to join me in raising awareness of the dark side of artificial intelligence. We can combat this troubling issue by demanding that our government representatives support stronger oversight of how AI is both deployed and created. We can also follow and support groups like the Human Rights Watch, which is already making strides to eliminate the use of AI in weapon systems. Artificial intelligence is a wonderful technology when it is used in the correct way and for the right reasons. Together, let's make sure that this will always be the case.
The most effective solution is for each and every single one of us to make a personal commitment to helping these troubled people. So advocate for them, support them, open your doors to them, and if your leaders don't let you, tell them to stop making refugees if they're not willing to host any. Why should millions suffer in a situation they didn't create nor choose? Don't be afraid to talk about things like this, because in the words of Malala Yousafzai, and I'd like you to take this to heart, there's a moment where you have to choose whether to be quiet or to stand up. I'm Ala Sidi Muhammad, and I choose to stand up. I'm asking you to stand with me. Thank you.
There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of divisiveness. There's a lot of hatred. And I think it's really, really important that students establish their own voice and they learn to debate civilly. They learn to respect others' opinions. And that's how we rebuild trust in democracy.